Welcome and thank you for being here today. We are doing an interview series called Passing the Baton about general managers that are stepping out or stepping down and passing the leadership of their co-op on to the next generation. And so very excited that today we have Ed King from Littleton Co-op. Ed, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks. How are you, Mike?
Doing well, doing well. We're going to jump right into the questions that I have for you. How did you get your start in retail grocery and what made you stay?
Well, when I turned 16, there was literally a grocery store right across the street. And I went over there and applied, and they said you can start tomorrow morning. A little different onboarding process than we have today, but um, and 49 years later, here I am retiring from the grocery business. So.
Wow. And what kept you in it all those years?
Well, it is once you get into management and you enjoy your job, and I'll say I've enjoyed most of my jobs over the years, not all of them, but um the vast majority of them. I mean, you get to see the public every day, you get to be part of the community. And I enjoyed my work, quite honestly. And once you have a job that you like, it's hard to walk away from that to something that's unknown. As long as you're making a decent living, it's hard to walk away from that.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. Take me back to the early days at Littleton. What do you remember about getting the new store ready to open?
Well, the first time I walked into the store, I was in trespassing, quite honestly. The store was in process, and one thing I found is if you have a clipboard and a hard hat, you can go just about anywhere. So I walked into the construction in process and walked around, checked it out, and a friend of mine was the first general manager of the store. And very early on, before about 2 months before we opened, he hired me as kind of the store manager, and I don't regret it for a minute, quite honestly. It's a real slog. We started in 2009. There was an economic downturn. We weren't hitting our numbers early on, but after several years of consistent growth, we got profitable. We did an expansion. So, I mean, it's challenging opening a store. I will say that. It's coming from the corporate world and having almost no support, because there is no corporate in the co-op world necessarily, or at least, we weren't members of NCG, and it wasn't even really on our radar at that point. We were just trying to open a co-op in our small town here in northern Hampshire.
So you referenced there, Littleton has grown in just about every metric since 2012. What do you attribute, that sales growth, that membership growth, that success to?
Well, I think most of it is the people that we have working here. One thing about my mentor Bob Hayes did was he hired some great people from the grocery business that he worked with over the years, and I and we knew how to do our job. We knew how to deal with farmers. We knew how to deal with customers, and I think that was an important piece, is having a really strong core of management. And when we hired for customer service as our primary hiring point. If you could communicate in a friendly manner and had a smile on your face, then you had a great job. Even more so than a grocery experience, we really prioritized friendly and customer service oriented people. So we
Sure.
have been and will continue to be the friendliest store in town.
That's great. I know something that is really important to co-ops is our relationships with the community. I wonder if there's a partnership that you built in your years at Littleton that you're particularly proud of.
Well, we have a lot of great partnerships. I think our relationship with the food pantries in New Hampshire, and the network of people that work together with the New Hampshire Food Bank to provide food to people in need. We early on we had a healthy food access program, and that really we can provide that at store level, but we also support it on a regional level with 6 different pantries that get food from us on a regular basis. The New Hampshire Food Bank, who works with us on our Market Match program and SNAP program, and we have a very vital program with some um, community meals and things like of that nature. And anytime somebody wants to do a charity fundraising meal, we're also supportive of that. So I think really our link to the food system from a healthy food access point of view is what I'm most proud of here.
Yeah.
Really fighting hunger in our community.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And between the pandemic and even up through today, we know those programs are incredibly valuable. So thanks for your work on that. You referenced NCG, so you and I both serve on the NCG membership committee. What interests you about helping guide food co-ops on a national level?
Yeah, before that, I was on the advisory board, which worked on a lot of different food issues. I think the important thing is our food system has lots of issues. The corporate food system is not really serving the public all that well, and I think it's up to us to kind of be the conscience of the food system and say, hey, this is an ingredient that we don't want in our food, or really prioritize organic and organic standards. And once upon a time, I worked hard on the gluten-free labeling or gluten or GMO labeling and uh, lobbying for gluten-free products and things of that nature. So I think really being the kind of the conscience of the food system is something that I think is an important role that co-ops fill regionally.
Sure. Yeah, and our stores can be a proof point that there's a business case for having those standards and show that customers are willing to support those brands.
Yeah, and I think more and more corporate is copying us in that regards as far as providing those, and they recognize the public wants this, um,
Yes.
and that makes it a little more competition for us. But we started kind of that natural organic food movement, and we'll always kind of be the torchbearer for that.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah. No, yeah, that makes sense. What was the toughest crisis or project that you had to manage through in your time at Littleton?
Well, I think doing a major expansion when a store is open about 8 years ago, um, we were busting at the seams, so to speak, and you know what that's like.
Yep.
And so we needed more space, and the last thing you can't afford to close the doors. So we were basically in a remodel and expansion phase for like 9 months. And we added like 8,000 square foot to our store and got some offices and remodeled the existing store to go along with that. We relamped the store, moved refrigeration around. So I'm sure you're fully aware of all the challenges there are in living through that kind of remodel, and what you've done there at your co-op is just amazing. But yeah, that is challenging, staying open for business through a major remodel and still providing all the food safety things that you need to do every single day. So it was basically a 9 month headache.
Yeah. I've got a lot of new gray hairs to show for our remodel project last year, so I'm right there with you. So you were honored last year as the Business Leader of the Year by your local Chamber of Commerce. What did that recognition mean to you?
Well, I think it's kind of a well. First of all, I was honored as a co-op to be. I feel it was more of our co-op was honored, not necessarily me, but
Sure.
somebody has to go get up there and do the speech. So when we opened in 2009, we actually received the same award, or 2 of our board members did, and I kind of think it's justification. We've kind of gone full circle from a startup co-op to a mature business that's really, employing 107 people and really driving customers to Littleton, New Hampshire. Um, so I think it was also recognition for all the hard work we've done with our nonprofit partners throughout throughout the last 15 years. So I'm certainly honored, but I also know that it wasn't a me award; it was an us award, and I'm proud of what we have been able to accomplish here.
Well, congratulations to you and congratulations to your entire co-op community because that's great. So the reason we're talking today is again because you are retiring. So talk me through the process to prepare to hand the store over to another general manager. How long have you been working on that transition?
So I gave my board of directors a long heads up. So about a year ago, I said, okay, here's the date, at the end of 2025. Um, so we sat down, we had our board retreat in September of last year and dealt with what's the process? What is our board going to do in understanding that our board is responsible for this hire? And we brought in partners from Colluminate. And we're really living that planning right now because we have interviews this week for my position. 5 people will be interviewing. We're excited about the candidates. I think we worked really hard to get a good core group of candidates to choose from. I will say it's a fantastic job for anyone who's out there want to put in a last minute application. But as you know, it's not an easy job. I think experience is important. Even though I come from the non-co-op world, I come from corporate grocery. Um, it was a huge adjustment to adjust to the co-op ideals and the business model. So um, we've been actively, recruiting for months now, and we're getting to the finish line, hopefully by the end of the year here. So
Great.
we're excited about it. It's very intentional, very structured, and I think my board has done a fabulous job in the process.
Yeah. Well, that it's certainly great to have as much planning time for that sort of transition as possible. So I'm glad you all were in that position. If looking into the crystal ball a little bit, what would you hope to see from Littleton 5 years from now under new leadership?
Well, we've been talking about a second store for, you know, 5 years now at least. I think that is kind of our future. We can't really expand on our current footprint anymore. We kind of maxed out in 2017 in our last expansion. So I think the next logical step as we continue to grow is to have a satellite store somewhere within 20 miles of the co-op, where we have several communities that want us to build them a co-op. They would love to have a co-op in their community. And, I'm staying on a year post-retirement to kind of explore those possibilities and do a little research on market studies and things like that. So hopefully that can all come to fruition. And it has to be the right business decision too. You can't build a store in a community because they want one. The right business climate has to exist. And so I look forward to working on that in retirement, and hopefully our co-op can execute on that.
Yeah. No, that's very exciting. um, when we're together at NCG meetings and looking around the room at the general managers, we certainly have general managers who've been in their position or been at a number of stores for years and decades. And then we have sort of a new generation of leadership coming in. So what do you think the next generation of co-op leaders can learn from those who have been doing this for decades?
Well, I mean, what I said on the outset here is, the key to our success, I've always believed, has been our customer service. And as long as you recognize that going in, that serving your ownership, your customers, that walk through that door every day to your fullest, that's the key to success. I mean, you can have policies, you can have capital, you can have everything. If you don't have customer service right, you're not going to succeed. So I think it's important. When I get new people into my co-op and on the tour, they stop by the GM's office and I give them a little spiel about, taking care of the ownership, taking care of the members, taking care of our customers every single day. That's the key to our success. That's what we're known for. And that's our expectation from everybody that walks through the door is to be greeted by our employees and our associates and just providing the best level of customer service we can.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And with bigger stores increasingly having fewer and fewer employees, it's really an opportunity for co-ops to stand out against the competition.
Absolutely. I mean, having worked as long as I have in the corporate world, I think that was the thing I was most excited to do. I mean, um, there's twofold: be able to provide the customers with the service that they deserved first off, and really giving them access to the local products. Corporate stores are famous for, unless you can supply 200 stores, you're not going to get a shelf space, or you're not going to be able to buy shelf space. You can't afford to buy shelf space. I think co-ops are a little bit different, and they offer that opportunity for small businesses, small food businesses, and farmers alike to get onto our shelves.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's all I had for you today, Ed. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your insights, and we certainly wish you the best of luck in retirement.
Well, thanks a lot, Mike. It's great talking to you, and good luck with this new e-magazine adventure.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much.